Hi, I'm Evan Kaiser, and this is my response for the PNH 220 discussion. For the first question about societies with political, cultural, or ideological divides creating a shared future, I would say that these divides stem from a history of injustice or systemic inequalities, and in order to mend those divides, it might take a community driven initiative or program or a restorative justice initiative in order to get back what some of what is lost. Um, yeah, but fundamentally, the way to create a shared future or a more equitable future is by identifying the root cause of these divides and together, the community is coming together to mend that. Next, I want to talk about education versus systemic change to leading to meaningful social change. And I would say that education alone can't bring about meaningful social change, although it can contribute and magnify the effectiveness of those initiatives. Education alone is not a driving force to meaningful social change. Uh, some of these social changes require broader systemic changes like equitable laws, fair labor practices, more accessible healthcare, and more opportunities for the oppressed. Um, Education can broaden somebody's perspective on these issues, but requires action and uh, real initiative in order to get the ball rolling. For the third question, about those benefiting from current social structures and the responsibility for advocating for change, I would say that there's a certain responsibility that falls on them because they have the resources and the power to really bring about meaningful and lasting change, especially for groups that don't have as much power themselves or much of a voice to be heard. Those with the power benefiting from the system can amplify those voices, can help those marginalized groups be heard, uh, but that would require a level of um, tact, a level of empathy uh, by listening and not stepping on the toes of the marginalized group, uh, allowing that marginalized group to represent themselves and the problems they're facing rather than bringing your own biases towards how you think a problem should be handled. For my response for question number 4, about having equal outcomes for every member of society for social movements, the reality is that social movements are usually focused on specific groups and specific problems and are meant to benefit that group uh, primarily. That's not to say that the benefits that that group receives can't create a ripple effect that uh, affects other members of the community positively. Um, but it's not a realistic goal of a movement to try to cater to everyone's needs. Um, but focusing on the most marginalized groups of society can oftentimes lead to positive effects for every member of the community. For question number 5 about disruption and conflict being a requirement of social progress, I wouldn't say that they're a requirement necessarily, but some issues and some systemic injustices can't be resolved without some form of disruption of the system, and maybe even of society, depending on the specific issue. Um, Conflict to me seems more of a choice, but uh, a disruption of a system may be necessary depending on the issue. That's not to say that it's a requirement of social progress. Many issues can be resolved peacefully and create stronger bonds within a community.